Hello and welcome to another video on this lecture series Introduction to Python. In this video, we will be seeing how to set up Python, how to download it and install it in your device. So the first thing you want to do is go to Google and type python.org, and this will redirect you to the official Python website, right? So inside the website, you can see a lot of tabs that have so many information about Python. You can go to news and you can have Python related latest news, and you can go to events and catch up on the newest events that Python is hosting. And if you scroll down, there is success stories, that there is uses of Python and everything. Now what we actually need in this particular website is we are going to download Python. So we should be looking for something like a download file. So we go to downloads, and inside downloads you can see there are two columns, and left hand side there are a lot of options, and in right hand side, as you can see, there is download for Windows option, and this is automatic detection. Since I am going to be first explaining how to download in Windows, it is showing Windows here as I'm using a Windows system, and this is the latest version of Python that is there. And one thing that we need to note very carefully before downloading Python is that Python 3.9 plus cannot be used in Windows 7 or earlier. It's mentioned here. So if you guys are using an Windows 7 or an earlier version of Windows, please make sure that you have the correct version of Python installed. And to do that, go to all releases, and at the top you can find the latest version. And if you scroll down, you can see there is the Python version here and the information related to that particular version. And if you scroll further down, here you can see the link for downloads of the particular Python version. So if you guys are using Windows 7 or earlier, go for something that is less advanced than 3.9. So something like 3.8.15 or 3.8.14, something like that. So once you make sure that it is compatible for your particular Windows version, then it will work very good. So right now I'm going to be downloading the latest version, that is 3.11.0. So how to download is, here you have the download the latest version for Windows option right here, because it's auto detect. And if you are having any other systems, you can actually go to Linux here, and it'll have the source releases, and you can download from by clicking on this link, right? 3.11.0 is what we're looking for, and this would be your link, right? So you can go back, and there's Mac OS here, and similar links can be found for that also. So first we'll start with Windows. So for Windows, we have download Python 3.11.0 for Windows, and as soon as I click that, you'll notice that I have downloaded an exe file here. Now this file is nothing but the installer for Python. So now as soon as I click this, I'll be prompted with the installer, right? And the first thing that the installer looks like is this: install Python 3.11.0 64-bit. Again, 64-bit is optimum for my system. And if you are working on a 32-bit Windows system, you can actually go and customize it, because there are links for that as well. So the first thing that I'm going to be looking in this window is we have two options, that is install now and customize installation. So install now will actually take this particular directory and install my Python there. And if I actually don't want the Python in this directory, I want to customize it. So if you are comfortable with the directory that it is showing here, then well and good, you can proceed and click with this option. And I'm going to customize installation here. But before I go into that, I'm going to be explaining what this particular option is. So there is some option called add Python to path, right? So I'm going to click this. This is because if I add my Python to my path variable, then I will be able to use Python in my command line, right? So once I add my Python to that path variable, it'll detect my Python, and I can use my Python all throughout my system regardless of where that particular Python is stored, right? So I'm adding my Python to path, and I'm going for customize installation. So after I click on customize installation, I have a lot of options here. Now documentation, yes, I might need documentation, and I will let it be there like that. Pip. Now one thing that we need to know is pip is actually used for downloading and installing Python libraries. So if I want to install a library, say NumPy, I am going to execute the command pip install NumPy. That will take care of downloading the package and installing it in my system. So I really need this pip. That is very important for all kinds of Python operations. So I'll let it be as it is. I won't untick this because I really need this. And yes, I need an ideally on which I'll be working on. So I will have this and let all the others be as it is, because that is the best possible configuration that the system is actually suggesting for you, right? So I'm going to next, and here you can install Python 3.11 for all users. If you're using a multi-user computer, for example, you have two different logins. When you log in into the computer, you have two different accounts, so this Python will be available for both the accounts. So you can click on that. It's pretty useful. So for me, I really need that, so I'm going to click on that. And if you want, these are just extra files that we won't be necessarily using, but it might come in handy later, or you can actually download it later also. So it's not of that much importance now. So all these should be left as it is, because that would be very essential for us. Adding Python to environment variables, which means that I can use the Python anywhere. It is similar to what path is. Path is an environment variable. So I'm going to go to actually I am fine with this particular directory, so I'm going to leave it. Or you can go to browse and you can select your particular library, right? I mean directory. So I'll close this for now, and this is my desired directory. So I have this, so I'm giving install, and I'm prompted with this, and yes, I want that to allow changes. And now we just patiently wait for the whole setup progress to complete. So it's been a couple of minutes, and I've just let the system go with the setup, and it has been installing different parts of Python, and now we're at the end stages. So let's just wait for a couple more minutes and it'll all be done. And yes, the setup was successful. I've received the successful dialog box, and now I have to make sure that we have Python installed, right? So our setup is complete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the search bar, just a simple check on Python, and yes, we have Python 3.11.0. so I'm going to make sure that it is there. Now this is the setup. And so how to check if you actually have Python installed? So the most basic thing that you can do is go to the command prompt, right? So once you go to the command prompt, the first thing that we will be doing is checking our Python version, right? So we do this command, that is Python space -- version. So this command should get us the latest version of Python that is installed in your system. Now when I press enter, and yes, I can find the Python 3.11.0 here. And after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check where Python is, right? So the command for that is pretty simple. It is where Python. So I'm getting the path from where my Python is actually installed, right? So that is done now. Now Python 3.11 is installed, and we know where it is installed. Now we need to make sure that it is working properly. So we give the simple command, that is Python, right? So once I give Python, I will be prompted with this message with the latest version and my system information, right? And with some help commands. So, and these three arrows indicate that I am now not inside the Windows command prompt. I am there inside the Python command line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to perform simple Python code to make sure that Python is running properly, right? So the simplest code I can think of is print, right? So I'm going to give print, and inside print I'm going to give hello world. Now this is not an actual IDE, which means a development environment. This will only run the code line by line, right? So we know that we can check if some commands are working properly or not, right? So I'm going to give print hello world, and yes, it is working. We can see hello world printed in the next line. And Python can also act like a calculator, so you can see if it works, right? So 3 plus 4 is 7. You can give whatever number you want, and you can declare variables. So L is equal to 5, and there's no response here, and then we'll put L here, and then yes, we get 5, right? So I have now checked that my Python is working very well. Hi and welcome to this video on checking the Python installation with pip, right? So once you install Python and we have checked whether the Python code is working, we need to make sure that pip is working. So we've heard of pip and I've explained what pip is on a very basic level. So now we are going to see what pip actually is and where it is. Now pip is actually a Python package installer. And so I'm going to give the command pip and hyphen version. Now this should give me the pip version, right? So now my pip version is 22.3, and this is my directory in which that pip is actually there, right? So this actually is pretty good proof that pip is working. And if not, we also have the only pip command. So once you give that, you should be able to see a list of all the particular commands that you can give. So now there are these commands like pip install, right? So that installs packages. Now if I want to install a package, I would say pip install and the package name, right? So I'm going to try one single package and see if it is working. So I'm going to go with pip install numpy. Numpy is actually a package in Python that is useful for matrices and other number array related operations, right? Yeah, so once you give pip install numpy, this is downloading numpy, as you can see, and now it's starting to install numpy. So this is how pip install works. Once you give pip install package name, that package will be downloaded and that package will be installed. And right now, as you can see, successfully installed numpy 1.23.4. So now you haven't mentioned any kind of versions here. It'll default to the actual latest version of that particular package. If you want to change the version of that package, then also you can do it by specifying the version number along with hyphen version, right? So this is how, okay, now we've made sure that Python is working and our pip is working extremely well. Now we are 100% ready to get into Python coding with an IDE. So until then, see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.